tourist industry has had a rocky few years here in France since the 2015 terror attacks. Despite that, France remains the most visited country in the world, with a record number of tourist arrivals last year. Notre-Dame was one of the top attractions. Now, aside from being used as a place of worship, 13 million tourists flocked there every year. Entrance to the cathedral was free, as required under French law, which says religious buildings can't charge for entry. But tourists could pay about €10 to climb up the 387 steps of the bell towers. There was also a separate charge to visit the archaeological crypt underneath. Now, nearby, the tiny Sainte-Chapelle does charge admission and benefits from the popularity of its bigger neighbour. Just across the bridge, the second island in the Seine, the Ile Saint-Louis, is overflowing with cafes, restaurants and shops, and, of course, the masses of tourists who are all happy to pay those elevated prices. Now, despite the huge crowds at Notre-Dame, it means that not a lot of money was actually being brought in by the cathedral itself. That's why when this renovation project was launched a few years ago, the government and church needed so much money from individual and corporate donors. There was a fundraising tour across the United States, and money was contributed from around the world. Now, another round of fundraising has now been launched to rebuild what's left of the cathedral. Private philanthropists have long contributed to such endeavors. American billionaire John Rockefeller, for example, provided much of the funding to rebuild the Cathedral of Reims after World War I. Now, as the French government launches its own appeal for donations, it's considering a move that could further encourage corporations to pitch in. Claire Rush explains.
In the aftermath of the devastating blaze at Notre-Dame, people the world over have been rushing to donate. Dozens of websites have been set up, calling on individuals to contribute to the cathedral's reconstruction, such as this one, launched by a French heritage foundation.
The site allows everyone who cherishes Notre-Dame to participate in its restoration.
In the 24 hours following the fire, individuals donated nearly €4 million on the site. But the biggest donations are coming from French corporations. €500 million have been pledged by just 3 companies: LVMH, L'Oréal, and Kering. Energy giant Total has promised €100 million, while tech giant Apple has also said it will pitch in. Altruism aside, these corporations, among France's wealthiest, are seeking tax deductions. Under French law, companies can deduct up to 60% of their donations to nonprofit organizations, as long as the deduction amounts to less than 0.5% of the company's annual revenue. But donations to so-called national treasures receive an even higher tax break, allowing up to 90% of donations to be deducted. Now, some lawmakers want the Parisian cathedral to fall under this category. One member of parliament has submitted a bill calling for Notre-Dame to be reclassified so that donations can receive bigger deductions. The reconstruction is likely to cost billions of euros and may take decades, according to experts.
There you go. And just a reminder, Laura, that as all these fundraising sites spring up, it is important to be aware of possible scams. So anyone contributing, donating, should be very, very careful about which sites they're using.
Very important, Kate. Make sure you put your money into official channels.